Hello and welcome to the Animation Kimmunication podcast, your source for discussion about animation, film, fandom, and more. So please join your host, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, or KP, and Lauren Kizich, the Abbey Roadie, for today's discussion. If you like what you hear, please remember to support by giving a like, a follow, as well as subscribing to the main I Love Kim Possible a Lot channel on YouTube. Spread the word and keep being a part of a great community. This episode contains some mild adult language.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Animation Kimmunication, where we got fun people and fun times, and I can't really think of a good intro. So I'm KP as usual. Lauren's here as usual.
Hello.
Say hi, Lauren.
Yes, hello,
okay.
hi.
Do you want to introduce our guest, Lauren? Because
yes,
I think you know more about mythology than I do. I'm just like...
Well, it's funny because this is not, at this point, it's not long after we've had Chi-Chi on, so now we can actually say we at one point had the singing voice for Cherry Bomb on here, and now we have Angel Dust. So we have Michael.
Wait,
I
who?
want to make
Where?
Sure...
Where is he? Where's Angel Dust?
So
where is that son of a bitch? He owes me money.
No, it's like, just imagine him turning around in the mirror, just going, "Hey, you son of a bitch, I've been looking for you this."
You owe me money, you son of a bitch.
But no, hi, I'm Michael. I voice Angel in the pilot for Hazbin and in the Addict music video. Hello.
Yes, and you're also in Billy Bust Up coming up, and then you have a bunch of other roles you can talk about.
Yeah, I'm in a few things. I'm Fantokyo in Billy Bust Up, which just had a very successful Kickstarter. I'm voicing Rocky Rickaby in the Lackadaisy short animated film, which should be coming sometime later this year. I'm very excited about that.
Been very excited to see all the progress on that.
Yeah, and depending on when this is airing, whenever this is released, I'm currently recording for an anime called Akudama Drive, where I voice a little bunny rabbit character.
Woo!
But yeah, that's most of what I'm working on right now. It's a pleasure to be on here with you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd your guys' New Year's start?
Like pretty like pseudo defeated, but I think that was kind of the point. Everyone's kind of 2020. What about you?
Everyone was sick of 2020. Yeah, it was a great year. I don't know, man. It was the best year of my life. I don't know what you're talking about. It was wonderful. I loved being cramped up inside my house. I loved not being able to see anybody. It was wonderful. No, yeah, it sucked.
I mean, at the very least, what was kind of nice about New Year's Day was that, in a way, it feeling like a neutral day, and versus like some Big Bang New Year's Day. It was kind of nice that it was, like, for me at least, it was rather uneventful, because I'm like, after the year we had, it's like, can we have one day where things can just be not shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the new year, at least we're kind of able to reset our brains and be like, okay, this year, we're going to try to do things better. We're going to try. So far, I mean, we had a few good things happen this year, but also a lot of bad things, I imagine.
Yep.
So it's
a bit of a rocky start, but we're gonna push through. We're trying.
I mean, it's up to us. We'll see what we can do to make 2021 a good year.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can kick this virus in its booty.
Mm-hmm. The Backstreet Boys world tour. We gotta bring an end to it.
Yeah, please wear a mask.
Yes, wear your masks above your nose. Just cover your entire face at this point.
No one wants to see your face anyway. It's fine.
At least it's kind of been funny to see the inventive way people have been trying to do cover-ups, where I guess the other day there was video of these two joggers running around Abbot Kiddie at Venice Beach, and they're in and there's those inflatable space bubbles, like those ones that you roll around in, and they're like jogging down the street with them on top.
Bless.
So I'm like, hey, whatever works, I guess.
Yeah, also, sorry to interrupt. My roommate just delivered me Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this aside for now, and I will consume this after the interview. But
yeah, no worries. If you want to sip on that Mountain Dew, feel free to.
I'll take a sip. Let's see if it comes through. Oh my god!
Yeah,
it's
it was
so
very
icy.
it was very tiny, but it was audible.
It's so much ice. Oh my god!
I mean, I guess to be fair,
They literally packed this beverage with ice.
I mean, if you have Mountain Dew without ice, it kind of is because it's so highly caffeinated. It's like, at least for me, if I have it without ice, if it's not watered down just a slight bit, my system goes into overdrive.
It's very acidic. It's a very acidic drink.
Yeah, and then the Baja Blast has a way better flavor than just the regular Mountain Dew to me.
I mean, that's what I have right now is Baja Blast. So
Exactly.
it is very much. I like it a lot. Ashley says that it tastes like cleaner. And I don't blame her for that. That's actually pretty accurate. It does smell and taste like cleaner.
It's the sip, sip, yuck. Sip, sip, yuck.
Yuck.
Sip, sip. Just keep going back.
Okay, so we have a couple of animation headlines, and Michael has agreed to hang out and comment on them if he has any comments. So, I guess, Lauren, you can. This is like your show, because like I'm just here, just vibing, because I don't know as much as far as just kind of like has-been cast lore and stuff like that. So, but I'm supportive. So you fangirl away. What are the headlines?
All right. So, so we got a couple headlines here. So the first one is we recently, I guess within like the past day or two, we've had a trailer drop for Craig McCracken's Kid Cosmic, which is going to be a new animated show for Netflix. And based off of what we see, it's like kind of like a superhero team show, but it's, you know, obviously surrounded by like a eclectic group of this one boy. There's obviously Kid Cosmic, and then you have like a little girl who almost goes into like, you know, Godzilla's like kaiju size. There's a girl who could teleport. There's an old man who could replicate himself. There's a cat that can see the future. So there's like all of these different team members as they fight. I guess at least based on the trailer, alien invaders or invaders from another dimension. And it's very much in the style of like the energy of something like Wander Over Yonder, which again, that was a Craig McCracken project. And then he also worked on Powerpuff Girls, and he had Foster's Home. So it's a lot of that same kind of energy, especially the art style is really fun. It almost is like almost like a graphic novel style, like the comic book style with the grainy textures on the line art and the colors and the color fills. It looks really, really good, and it's very, very McCracken style. So I'm excited to see where they go with it.
I'm just skimming through the trailer right now because I actually hadn't seen it, and oh my gosh, it does look beautiful.
I'm like it is like,
so. It looks so action packed too. Holy cow!
Oh yeah, that's one thing.
There's a lot going on.
That's one thing Craig's really good with his shows, is that there is a lot of energy to his characters. So I'm excited to see where this goes, especially with like with it's got that, yeah, again, it's kind of like Wander Over Yonder combined with Powerpuff Girls in terms of it's got the superpowers and fighting baddies and super baddies, and it's kind of that kind of thing. So but at the same time, it's also got that youthful fun energy of Wander. So yeah, so I'm excited to see where they go with it. And I don't believe I caught where it's supposed to be released, but with that footage, and actually it's made by the same studio that worked on the Tangled series. So to call back to the fact that we had Chris Sonnenberg on our show really early on last year, who directed the Tangled series.
He was one of the EPs too, so yeah.
Yeah.
One of two.
Yeah. And yeah, that was fun. So the same studio in Canada is working on Kid Cosmic as well. So, yeah. And then also, I mean, I hate to have like downer news to accompany this, but it is relevant to animation, so I'm going to say it is Dave Creek, who was the lead character designer on Bob's Burgers since day one of the show. He unfortunately passed away this week.
I heard about that in a skydiving accident, right?
Yeah.
Wow. What a freak accident. What a freak thing to like die of, I guess.
That's so unfortunate, because like you never expect anything like that to happen.
No.
Like you're just having fun skydiving, and all of a sudden, you know, that's just unfortunate.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for him and his family. I hope that they're all coping well.
Yeah, it's just, especially because as far as I have been able to gauge, is that the Bob's Burgers crew is like a really tight group. So it's like it's got to be really hard to lose, especially somebody who's been there since the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. And then, but yeah, and then I know this was in the past, I want to say 48 hours, hoping it's not too soon to bring it up, but the name was dropped. It was the Brad Venable, who unfortunately passed away as well. A voice actor who was very well known for Devil May Cry, Attack on Titan, Dragon Ball Super, My Hero Academia, Final Fantasy, and then the list goes on, but incredible voice.
He was in a lot of stuff. I personally never got to meet him or know him personally, but from everyone that I've known in the voice acting community that's been posting about him, it's very clear that he was a very kind, very supportive individual, and that he changed a lot of people's lives and a lot of people's outlooks on things. So he had a very, very big impact on a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, even if he's no longer with us, the change that he, impacted people with will remain forever.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, is that he was this very kind, endearing soul. And, that's something that everybody will remember.
Absolutely.
That knew him personally.
Yeah, it's people like that it's like as bittersweet as it is. It's like, yeah, when you try to think and remember all the positive things that somebody like him brought to, especially like not just the industry, but to just everyone around him. It's that positive impact, and that's what lasts longer than any human life does, is that legacy that they leave, and especially if it's that positive impact that they have. So yeah, I'm still reading up even more on him and seeing what people are saying about him, and just, yeah, that's what I've been able to gauge of him as well as a person, which, yeah, it's awful.
Which speaks volumes that he's someone that's so beloved in this community. And everybody's sad. Like, everybody I've been seeing on Twitter is like crying and genuinely upset, which it just means that he was very beloved.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel bad that that's the note that we're ending on with headlines, because that's as much as
it's the most recent piece of news.
But it is the most recent news, because within the past week there haven't been any huge updates as of yet in the industry. I mean, it's only the beginning of the year, first weekend, so I guess it's only a matter of time. Oh, I could say, though, it's not technically animation related, but kind of sort of, adjacent to it, is that is a French produced series called Lupin, based on the Arsène Lupin novels from like 100 years ago, like the original novels. That show I think it just premiered last night on Netflix, and so yeah, it is in French with English subtitles, but based on what I've been able to gauge, it's really, really good, since it's based on the original French Thief. And so yeah, I gotta check that out myself, being a Lupin the Third fan, and seeing where all the origin stuff goes. So I know it's technically not related to the anime, but I know a lot of stuff this year is marking 50 years since Lupin first premiered on TV as Lupin the Third. So this is going to be a huge year for a lot of Lupin based content. I think also in not long ago, Arsène Lupin entered the public domain, so there's probably going to be even more use of his name going on.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's our headlines for this week, and now we can get down into the nitty gritty, the fun stuff here.
I guessed what word you were going to use. I was like, you're going to say nitty gritty.
I was going to say, let's get down to brass tacks.
I was like, is it going to be business? Is it going to be nitty gritty? What's it going to be?
If it was business, it's to defeat the Huns.
I'm leaving.
Be a man, you must be swift as a coursing river.
Welcome to the karaoke podcast, everyone. If you have any requests,
With all the strength of a great tiger.
Be a man.
Oh, Lord.
We have fun here.
But no, we do not want to get DMCA taken down. We don't want that to happen. Thank you,
We'll
Disney.
we'll just edit in post where we like change the pitches.
just
of
change the
tones where
pitch
it's
to be
fine.
so badly off pitch as if I wasn't singing off pitch already.
It's like in that wavy auto tune sound, so it's like really distorted.
Yeah, man, you must be swift as a coursing river with all the force of a great typhoon.
Man, I love this remix.
Yeah.
With all the strength of a raging fire.
This is wonderful.
So stupid.
That's our loophole around it, though.
That's it, guys. That's the podcast. We're done.
Just shake your throat like that.
You got to do it the Tom Kenny style, how he does the sponge. Yep.
Wow.
That's literally what I'm doing. Is like, it's where you like take your hand and vibrate. That's what I was doing.
Do it against your throat.
The good old Tom Kenny way.
for that SpongeBob laugh.
It's so wonderful. I think it's like once everybody saw him doing that, like in behind the scenes stuff on how they made SpongeBob, and they see him doing the throat trick, everyone started like assaulting their throat trying to do the same thing.
I mean, like monkey see, monkey do. It's very easy to like be when someone who is, someone of influence like that, you see a technique they have, you're like, ooh, I have to learn that technique. I have to master it.
Exactly. It's so I guess back into our line of questions, I should say. So I guess
Enough goofing around.
I guess what was it? Well, I guess we could start at this point of what inspired you to become a voice actor to pursue this line of work.
Well, it started back in, I think, like 6th grade, maybe. I was a kid. I was a little kid. I watched a ton of cartoons, like most kids do. I grew up on a lot of cartoons. But I had this really insane fascination with Mickey Mouse in particular. And I loved the character of Mickey Mouse. I loved, his design. I loved his voice, just his personality, his everything. I thought he was like really funny and charming. And, as I was obsessed with Mickey Mouse, I was like really, really interested in learning how to do, the specific voice for Mickey Mouse. Because I was like, that's a really unique, specific voice. I want to be able to do that. And so, little kid me would try to go up high and try to sound like Mickey Mouse. It wouldn't be that great back then. It would be, oh boy, haha, I'm Mickey Mouse, haha. But, I would still try. And over the course of doing that for a long time, I would pick up other unique traits from other character voices, and I try to learn how to do those. And I'm just, this is all going into like impressionist territory because, voice actors aren't always impressionists. They're just, they have their own line of voices, but there are also voice actors that specifically do impression work. So I started off doing mostly impressions, but then that kind of inspired me to find my own vocal range and find an interest in just providing a voice for characters. Originally, it was because I didn't like my natural voice, and so I wanted to learn how to do every other voice possible besides my regular voice. But yeah, it was just a fascination with cartoons, with Mickey Mouse, and just basically wanting to learn how to do that voice. That Mickey Mouse thing, where it's like really throaty and high pitched. I'm not perfect at it, but that is the fruit of my it's better than I was when I was a kid.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what are you talking about? That was actually really good. Like,
well, thank you. I'm very critical of my own stuff, but
as a true artist would be, we're all our own worst critics, I should say. So
That's a mood.
As anyone is. Basically, TLDR, big fan of Mickey Mouse as a kid. Wanted to do the voice. Here I am.
Out of curiosity, have you been watching the newer Mickey Mouse shorts? Do you like them? Any thoughts?
Oh, I haven't seen The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse just yet, but I've seen a bunch of the old ones that Tara worked on. They're so good. Oh, they're so good. I love it. It's literally the perfect way to reinvent Mickey Mouse. I think it's the best content Mickey Mouse has ever been a part of. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I remember it took the style originally, when I first saw it, it took a little bit of an adjustment because it is very different from what you would expect of a Mickey Mouse cartoon. It's very, in a way of like, it's taking the classic Pie Eye, but also making it Ren and Stimpy in a way. So you're kind of like, it's like, oh, this is cool. It's different and cool. And I'm like, I just have to get used to looking at it. And then it's like, once you're like actually past like one episode, you're kind of already adjusted to it because you're like, okay, I'm up to speed. This is the energy of the show.
Oh yeah, and it's so funny and it's so clever. And
Yeah.
this is really specific, but I just love how goofy a lot of the voice direction can be. Like specifically, I love I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Chris Diamantopoulos, the guy that voices Mickey in those shorts. I love that just this one specific episode where he where Minnie is dreaming of him being like this very prince-like character or whatever, and he's in front of the fridge. He looks like like he's homeless. He's like, "Do you have any milk inside of your fridge?" And then like he opens the fridge, and then like Minnie's imagining this super statuesque like princely character, and then it's just Mickey like, "How old is this milk?" And it's the same voice actor and everything just doing that. It's so funny to me. I just love just how much creative freedom and like just insanity there is in that cartoon. And also just what have you guys seen the scene where like Goofy's just screaming like, "Whoa, Donald, you look like damn!" Have you guys seen that?
Yes, I was
love
just
that.
about to say that very exact scene of just like, you don't look too bad. And then, hey, everybody. Oh, God, Donald, you look like death.
He's literally screaming at the top of his lungs, "Whoa, Donald, you look like death!" I love it so much.
Bill Farmer went all the way for us. He didn't have to do that, but he did it anyway.
He did it. And I know in the wonderful world of Mickey Mouse, there's like this line where it's like, "Boy, do I love the code." And Goofy's like, tell us more about the code. And then, the code. The code. That's literally all I've seen of the wonderful world of Mickey Mouse, but it's so funny.
The expressions are so much fun. Just, they're so out there, and I love how far they'll push them. I think, again, it's like, I think, especially the moments, because Mickey is so different in these cartoons compared to his previous incarnations, because he's allowed to be so over the top, that it's, I think it's the episode... it's the one with Fifi brought back, and it's where she like absolutely hates Mickey when he comes over to Minnie's house, her pet dog. And I just remember when he shows up, and she's like, "Oh, Mickey, but you're 3 hours early," and he's like, "I'm just obsessed with you."
I'm just obsessed with you.
I love that delivery. The thing is that
great.
Looking back, I feel like this new incarnation of Mickey Mouse in the shorts actually, in a lot of ways, reminds me of classic SpongeBob and how they would allow classic SpongeBob to be like very free, this very like open character that, would go through a huge range of like spectrums from being like, "Don't worry, Squidward, I will help you." Like, he'll literally do like he'll go from like, "Don't worry, Squidward, I am here to save the day." Like, where he will like literally switch on a dime. And, they're not afraid to kind of do that and suspend your disbelief. They do that in the new Mickey Mouse shorts all the time. It's so good.
Yeah, it especially shows the range of Tom Kenny when you look at like SpongeBob in those moments and how much he influenced comedic timing and vocal changes and stuff like that where other people would be able to adapt to that as well. Yeah, it's the new Mickey Mouse cartoons. I absolutely adore them. And Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse is fantastic. There's still a couple episodes I still have to see, but I've loved what I've seen so far as a continuation of the other cartoons. I guess the follow-up to that would be, once you were inspired, how did you get your start in the industry? What was your first foot in on the path to voice acting?
So my first introduction was basically when I was, I think, like 11 or 12. I got my very first computer, and I had my own personal computer, and so I'm like, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel. So I made a YouTube channel, and the old YouTube channel still exists, and there's a whole bunch of like Sonic the Hedgehog, like Windows Movie Maker slideshows.
Wes.
Yes.
Just a bunch of slideshows of like with Sonic music. And one thing in particular that all of them have is all of them at the very end say goodbye. Like they all say goodbye at the very end in text, like just goodbye. And the first recorded audio of myself is literally on one of those videos. The video is just titled Sonic Music Video. At the very end, there's like this really bad drawing of Tails that I did as like a little 11 or 12-year-old kid. And it's just my voice going like, goodbye. And that's the first recorded audio of me that's on the internet. I can probably find it. I'll send it to you afterwards. But
absolutely.
It is one of the oldest. I'll find it right now while I speak. It was one of the oldest things I've ever recorded. But I pretty much got my start just doing like Sonic fan dubs. I just did Sonic fan dubs with a bunch of people on YouTube. And they eventually introduced me to this website called the Voice Acting Alliance, which no longer exists. But I would go on that site and I would audition for anime fan dubs or cartoon fan dubs. And I would it was nothing major. Again, it was all just fan projects at the time. But, that's how I kind of got my start in trying to, practice my voice and act and whatnot and make friends. And I made a lot of pretty good friends, a lot of bad friends also, a lot of bad influences as we all do growing up.
Yeah.
I was a very impressionable kid, and so I made a lot of bad friends. And looking back, I'm like, damn, they set me back a little bit, but. There's a lot of good people that I met throughout my tenure on the Voice Acting Alliance, and moving on from that, that did fuel me with the passion to try and move on. I didn't really take voice acting as seriously as I do now until I think 2015. 2015 is when I really started actually trying to audition for original paid projects.
Okay. I was gonna say, did you ever take like did you ever have any coaching or were other voice actors like maybe coaching on how to like help strengthen certain aspects of your vocal talents, like where they kind of coached you and helped push your basically helping you to grow?
Everybody talks about how coaching is necessary, and I agree. Coaching is very good for you, very important. I think that if you have the opportunity to and if you can afford to, you absolutely should take some coaching or some workshops. I took one workshop in my entire tenure of doing anything, and I was so sleep deprived that it meant nothing because I took a 12-hour drive to New York City to go there.
Oh, wow.
And my mother drove me. I slept in the car ride. My mother, thankfully, God bless her soul, she did that for me. I said God bless her soul as if she's dead. She's still alive. She's
How old were you?
Oh, this was like in 2017, so I was like
maybe okay. This was just only a couple of years ago. Okay.
No, it was 2016 actually. So I was like maybe 22,
Okay.
21, 22, something like that. But I was so sleep deprived, I was so exhausted, so like nervous that I literally had lost every ability I had because I was just so nervous. My throat was all tightened up and I was really nervous, so I couldn't perform as well as I would have liked to. But there was still some good information there that helped me a little bit. Other than that, though, I haven't really done any coaching. It's mostly been, through experience, which, you can learn a lot through experience and through knowing people. But, it's a good idea to have professional advice a lot of the time too, and like professional counseling just to make sure that you're on a good path, you're not doing anything destructive.
Right.
But yeah, I've only taken one workshop, and that was back in 2016.
Okay. Yeah, because I think about it's funny when you said you making sure you're not doing anything destructive, and all I can think of is anybody that, especially when you think of somebody like D. Bradley Baker, who like I saw him in person, went back in college. He came for one of my classes. I think it might have been like my character design class or studio pitch class. Either way, he came by and he's like, I'm not even sure what my actual voice is anymore because I swear every 2 seconds I'm changing into another voice. and I'm just comfortable doing that. It's just how I am now. But because he's known for a lot of like creature noises and animal noises and all that kind of stuff for video games, TV, all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's Perry the Platypus, for God's sakes.
Perry.
He's a lot of creatures in Avatar, The Last Airbender as well, if I recall, and a few other things.
Yeah, he's pretty much a chameleon. He's in so much stuff you wouldn't realize until you saw his name in the credits. But yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal talent. And to see how he contorts his face to make some of the noises he makes, like, I mean, at one point he smushed half his face with both his hands to make a snarling noise, like to make it sound like almost like a minotaur or just like a, I want to say like man, bear, pig kind of. It's like almost like a roar, but also a squeal. Like he's like saying, I'm trying to like make all these like fantasy animal noises, so I have to like fuse a bunch of animals together. And so, but in order to do that, I'm gonna have to do a little interesting stuff to my face. And so he just started like smushing half his face with both his hands.
Gotta do
and I'm
what
like,
you
hey,
gotta
whatever
do.
works.
Gotta do what you gotta do to make the noise. It's I got a lot of respect for him. He is super goddamn talented, incredibly talented, and he's always come across as being one of the nicest folks too.
I remember actually some of my classmates, there were like, I think maybe two of them, they worked on a senior thesis film together at the end of their, at the end of their 4 years. And they managed, because of that class, they hooked up with him, and I think he did it because he just wanted to, as he lent his voice to their senior thesis because he just got to do like little puppy noises because it was around a dog running around Paris. And so he just like, he did puppy noises, puppy whines, and puppy pants, and and so they have a senior thesis with D. Bradley Baker in their credits.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So he seems like he was genuinely like really chill and really nice when he came to visit. So I believe everybody else too when they say he's like incredibly nice.
He's always seemed that way. I've never actually met him or interacted with him, but just from interviews and from videos of him interacting with people, he just seems like a genuinely sweet soul.
Yeah, it and that was really cool to see him in person doing all the voices. But it was just, that's what I just think of. Going back to the point of just don't be try not to be too destructive, is because if you're destroying, you have to make sure that you're taking care of your voice and your body and everything to make sure that you can do what you do. Otherwise, if you push it too hard, it's you may put yourself out of commission for a bit. Like if somebody screams too loud, or if they make a noise or a voice that's too gruff on their vocal cords. Like, I think Alex Brightman's one of those rare oddities where he said, I can go that Beetlejuice gravelly gruff without actually damaging my vocal cords at all. Like, I don't feel anything. That's what he said. So, but yeah, so I guess it's like you do the same thing with making sure that you take care of your voice as well.
Yes. I admittedly not as good as I should, but I try. Back in the day, back in like 2016 or 17, I remember there was just this point where I did like a screaming session for a recording, and I totally blew my voice out, and it was gone, like completely. And like after a few days, and like it started to come back, but my voice was really weak. And so like I was like, I'm gonna go even harder. And so I just was like, I'm going to destroy my voice. And so I screamed again. I did like a sore throat singing cover where I screamed while singing a song. And I was like, this is so stupid. This is a bad idea. It was funny sounding, but it was not a good idea. My voice is gone for a month. But this was thankfully at a time where I didn't have much work. So I was okay. And my voice has made a full recovery. So I'm good.
I mean, you sound crystal clear to me, so.
Don't do stuff like that. Be smart about it. Don't, and then, do that nonstop and then just keep, like I just did. Don't,
I just imagine these moments of like, hold on, it's the pulling yourself away. Hold on for a sec while I go have a freaking episode.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I can scream pretty comfortably without disturbing anything. I'm kind of used to screaming. Now, if I scream for a long time or really, really hard, then that might push it.
Yeah, yeah.
But doing just those, that's fine. That's nothing.
Yeah, all I can. I was thinking of Matt Lillard, who he actually used to be my neighbor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was just a small world thing. I remember I was walking my dog once, and he jogged past me, and it took me a second to realize who had just jogged past me. Because he's so tall, but he runs like Shaggy. I'm not gonna lie. That's lanky,
hilarious.
It was so cool. Thing is, I was always so bashful. I never said hi to him.
Oh.
But I was just like,
Lauren, you missed your chance.
Yeah, but I saw him plenty. I'd see him like literally at every coffee shop and restaurant. He went to. I noticed because I would go to Starbucks a bunch. He'd go to Starbucks a bunch. I'm like, man, you have an addiction as bad as I do at this point. To kept going to the same Starbucks, and I'd see him there anyway. But I do remember the story that he did to get his first role as Shaggy for even just the live action movies, and that's what cemented his role for so many years after that. Was he sat in his car before his audition and he just screamed in his car to get to that hoarse, raspy, like broken voice, so that way when he went in and he did the voice and they're like, yeah, you're perfect.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
It's like, he's like, I don't recommend it, but that's how I got it.
I have a role that's very similar. There's this like point and click cookie, like, cookie clickers, right? Like how you'll click or whatever. There's a game I voice in called Blush Blush that's like an anime boy cookie clicker game where you like click on them, they'll say quotes, and you have to get them up, get their stats up and whatnot, so they fall in love with you. It's one of those kinds of games. It's the boy version of Crush Crush, but I voiced in one of those, and I voiced two characters. One character is mostly my regular voice, just around here, but then the other character is like this big, like Markiplier kind of character who, is very much inspired by Mark in the way they look, and a lot of their quotes are very Markiplier inspired. So I just remember that when I had to record for him, because if I try to do it now, it might not sound as like consistent. I'll lose the voice. So like I would just basically, I would yell for a bit just to kind of like, make my voice degrade just a little bit. And then I would shift it down and try to do the voice like this.
Oh my God.
It's not as great as it is in the recording right now, but it's around this pitch where it's quite a low voice. It's basically a parody Markiplier kind of sound.
Discount Markiplier.
Yeah.
That's incredibly spot on though, and it's just I did meet Mark once and hear his voice in person. I'm like, oh my God, it literally is that golden. Just
yeah, because
so deep.
What's funny is if you listen to his old voices or his old videos and his voice back then, like it's clear that he pushed his voice down to get to that point, because his old videos he's like, hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome. And like you can hear that just over the course of time, doing that showman-like voice. Mm-hmm. That it just gradually actually made his voice legitimately deeper, because that's something that you can do even well into your adult years. Is if you push your voice enough, it'll still get deeper, even if you're like already an older gentleman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing.
So if I were to just constantly yell and try to shift my voice downward, I'd probably be able to make it just naturally sit in this range. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. I want my voice to stay here.
It's like, great, now there's two Markipliers running around.
I don't think it's that close of a voice, but I try to capture the energy of Mark basically with that kind of character. Like it's like a parody kind of, like just how announcers will yell like every third or fourth word, where it's like, hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Let's Play. How some words will just be shouted.
Yeah.
I try to kind of take that into consideration.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a fun character. And that's one of those voices where I also have to like stress my voice a little bit to be able to naturally sit there. It's a little deeper in the actual game. It's one of those voices where you do have to stress your voice out a little bit, but it doesn't hurt to do, thankfully.
Right. Yeah, and you know, you got so much incredible range. Like, I think that's one of those things that this is when so many people say they want to get into voice acting, but it's like it's such a tight. It's a small community in general. When you think about it, it's small, tight knit, and everybody kind of knows each other to a degree. Is how do you set yourself apart in an ever growing online voice acting community in particular? Because when there's so many people that try to do it, how do you make sure you set yourself apart?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Have fun. Do what you genuinely enjoy. If you're honest with who you are and you're just real, people will acknowledge that you're real. Because there's a lot of people in the voice acting scene that are, you know, that are basically, I don't want to say fake, but there's going to be people that might not necessarily be honest with themselves
Right.
in the scene. Most of them are, you know, aspiring, and they'll over time realize who they are, who they you know want to be, and whatnot. But as far as, you know, my personal advice, just be yourself, have fun, be a good person, be kind. You know, the thing that really gets you far in this industry is being nice and being friendly and being, you know, a good person. Because if you're like a show off, if you're someone that's like gonna brag about certain things, people might be off put. Not to say you shouldn't be proud of your accomplishments or your ability. You know, certainly do be proud. But it's a matter of not being arrogant, I suppose. You know, if you're a kind person and you get along with everybody, people will want to work with you. But if you're more entitled, or if you're more like more the type to be judgmental or to be very very boastful, then maybe people will be less inclined to work with you. Just be yourself, be nice, have fun, do it because you love to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, as a producer, like, it's the last thing you want to, like, hear through the grapevine when, you know, maybe not even a voice actor, but anyone who's working on one of your productions is kind of, like, you know, obnoxiously bragging about being a part of them. And it's just like, oh, like, right, you, like what you talked about being proud, and that's all good. But when they're using those kind of, like, positions to project authority or project, like,
Superiority in a way.
superiority, yeah, it's just it's very disheartening, and it makes you feel all gross and I need to take a shower.
My friend, I have a few friends where we'll sometimes get into fake arguments with each other, and I'll just joke, be like, listen, buddy, I'm the voice of Angel Dust in Hazbin Hotel, you know, just as a joke. Like, obviously, I don't actually like think that way, and I would never like use a statement like that as a way to, like, you know, get away with anything, because in the end of in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter that much. It's not like a social status or anything. It's just people that use anything like that as a way to get their way. I don't know. I think it's kind of icky.
Yeah. That's what's been cool though is, especially when I hear that's why to kind of sort of not so much plug, but because I mean I feel like anybody that's listening to the podcast at this point already knows about the Honeycast and everything. But if they don't, it's just like I love listening to all the voice actors sitting together, and it's always I love hearing everybody jab at each other. It's just it's that camaraderie I like to hear, and it's I think especially when we were talking about, you know, how people, if you're humble and if you're just genuinely nice, it's like everybody gets along, right? All I can think of is every time I would hear Ben come on, hey, is that Emmy Award-winning Ben Diskin?
Is that Emmy Award-winning voice actor Benjamin Diskin? I know, it's so fun. Ben is the sweetest guy. He's so nice.
He seems like
oh my
is.
Gosh, I was so intimidated by him, but he's so nice. He's literally the kindest soul. I love him.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody has so much fun, but yeah, it's every time Ben comes on, it's almost like he is that ray of sunshine.
Yeah, when it comes to the Honeycast and stuff, the thing that I think really helps it shine is that everybody is themselves on there. Mm-hmm. It's nothing is like pre-planned. Everything that happens is basically live. We're all just kind of messing around in real time, just being ourselves. Now, sometimes we can exaggerate ourselves a little bit just for fun. But, it's not like we're putting on any kind of personality or anything. We're genuinely all being true to ourselves and just having a good time.
Yeah.
And those streams tend to go on a lot longer than they should sometimes.
But
we
you get so many good moments out of that, and God only knows how many animated Honeycast clips have come out.
There are so
of
many.
it.
Hold on. The animated Honeycast playlist actually has I think over 20 million views.
Wow.
The playlist, no, it's almost at 20 million views. Here, I just posted a link for you guys to look at. It's almost
perfect.
at 20 million views, just the playlist in general for animations for the Honeycast. It's insane.
Oh, that's incredible. It shows how much impact you guys have had. It's not even so much. It's like it's not even so much just even in the views. It's been so impressive to see what the Honeycast have been able to provide in the fundraisers and crowdfunding and just overall just doing good things and amazing things, and even just being that nice little thing in someone's day to make their day a little bit better. I think that's just been awesome to see over the years.
Yeah.
Yay, charity.
I'm glad that the Honeycast has been such a good form of media for a lot of people, and that a lot of people have been able to find inspiration or find comfort in it. That's honestly, at the end of the day, I think that's the most important thing that anything we make can do, is to make someone happy or make someone comfortable, give them something that makes them feel safe or feel inspired in any way. Just being able to do that for anybody is literally the greatest honor. I feel like that's uniquely one of the best things that anything can do for someone.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And I think that's the healthy way creators should motivate themselves. And we make fun of people that prove themselves with their subscriber numbers or their accomplishments and stuff. And it's just and that's speaking of cons and stuff, that's why I think we all miss them, is we get to see that, direct human interaction and get to hear real people talking about how nice and helpful our content is when they need it or when they're going through a bad time and stuff. Sorry, I'm a little tired.
You're good.
So, I think, and bad people and, it's just, it can be messy. So when people should be focusing on those good achievements and not just subscriber numbers and views and stuff like that. But we've talked about that before on this specific podcast, but I'm just agreeing with you.
No, yeah, because I think that people that have their judgments clouded by clout, actually, by clout or fame or recognition, I don't know, I feel like that can have a negative impact. I think it's good to acknowledge the amount of people that are inspired by your work. Like if you have a large number of followers or subscribers, I think it's good to acknowledge that you have made an impact, but it's not good to let that cloud your judgment and to make you think, oh, I'm better than the common man. No.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, a lot of us, especially in this internet generation where everybody is equally capable of reaching those heights just from their own works alone, just independently on the internet. It's important to not get a big head over it, because at the end of the day, you're just the same as everyone else, except maybe now you have a lot more influence, and maybe now you have you just have a lot more opportunities because of that. It doesn't make you relatively better than anybody else. It just means that you have a lot more eyes on you.
Right. Yeah, diffusing a lot of that stuff was especially fun in the horse fandom because of just how that extra layer of ridiculousness that it became, because it was horse people and horse avatars and fun good old days. So
I was not involved in anything horse related. I know that my girlfriend Ashley was in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Ashley, back in the day, like 5 years ago or something, she actually did one of my thumbnails forever ago. She's super sweet. I was gonna be tell Ashley I said hi, and she's a good bean after, but I'll just bring it up now. But yeah, so we talked a little bit.
I'll be sure she knows.
Yeah. So
But
Yeah, but,
there's
go ahead.
I know that the horse fandom has a lot of problems.
On and off a lot of problems, and it seems like even like after the, I guess we could say after Gen 4 ended, it seemed like because especially when COVID hit and there weren't any more conventions to go to and to congregate, there started to be so much more online drama again, and I think it's because people were just like realizing there's no content, and so they're like they're just making messes to have something to do. And so it's like,
yeah, I don't know,
man, but it was I'm like, why are you guys being a mess? There's nothing warranting this.
Yeah, I haven't really kept up with anything. I have been made aware that a lot of people from the horse days have actually transitioned to Hazbin Hotel, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I hope that everything is going well there.
Yeah, I mean, so far it seems like things have been going well for anybody that, I mean, it's, again, everybody kind of transitioned out of there.
I've only seen a few things that have been kind of problematic in the Hazbin community. Like that's going to be a thing in any community when it gets big enough.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a few things, but for the most part, most people that I've met in the community for Hazbin have been very sweet and very nice, and I hope that it stays that way.
Yeah, I feel you. And like you said, that's what happens when you have a certain amount of people in Cloud. And especially like, the show is kind of like also like low key talking about like working with an internet cast when you're making original productions and stuff like that. But like internet stuff in general, like you don't know where people have like come from, and then some like stuff happens and then you're like, "Oh, I got to deal with this headache," or stuff like that, versus like, would still things that happen in a real job, like don't get me wrong, but it's just a different animal, like as well, if that makes any sense.
It's those.
I guess
it's messy.
Yeah, I guess kind of sort of on that tangent, because I was gonna say, because you pretty much are able to work from home in what you do all the time, right? Like even before COVID, were you working from home or were you going into studios to record? What is your typical workflow for recording?
So here's what's funny is before, so I'm going to be completely honest and say that Hazbin Hotel is literally the project that helped boost me up in a lot of ways and helped me kind of be a little more known. And also Honeycast, obviously, that Honeycast started before the pilot for Hazbin dropped. But as far as that goes, I've never actually walked into a studio and recorded anything. I've always worked from home because I don't have a casting agent right now. I'm hoping to have one this year. I'm just now starting to take the steps necessary to actually get into doing studio work.
That's great.
As far as things are for now, and as far as things have been, I've always been an independent contractor that has just done work for a lot of independent projects, and I've always found work through public casting calls or through whatever has been sent to me privately. So no, I've never actually had to walk into a studio. The anime that I'm recording right now, Akudama Drive, that's all done from home.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Every single actor, that's a Funimation dub. Every single person that's recording on that is doing it from home.
That's amazing.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting seeing how anime, in particular, has been able to transition from being, largely in a studio environment to being recorded from home.
Yeah, I feel like to a degree that saves a lot of money on like, again, when you have to rent a studio space, or you have to, or or if a business has to own like a brick and mortar place. Now, I think that's something that COVID has especially brought forth, was this huge surgence of being able to, because everyone's working from home and so many people having to adapt to a new workflow in that regard. But also seeing how animation has flourished and how many facets of animation have been able to, you can do it all from home, and especially when you see projects like Hazbin, where it's all been able to be done remotely and all over the world and able to be done at a professional grade. and look even better than some professional projects do outside of independent stuff. So it's like
right, and then like obviously there's other projects too, like Hell of a Boss continuing that. Lackadaisy, the short film for Lackadaisy, is also continuing that trend where everything is done from home.
Yeah,
everyone's recorded from home. I think everyone's recorded from home. I'm pretty sure they are. And then everybody that's in the animation department is doing it all from home as well. I think that's kind of a staple for everything right now, though, given the state of the world.
Yeah, but I think it's like.
But again, Hazbin did that before the world ended.
Exactly. That's why I said they kind of set the standard almost in a way of saying, like, see, it can be done. We were all able to do it from home, from all different parts of the world, and collaboratively. And it's still.
And it was done fast too.
Mm-hmm.
It was done pretty fast. I recorded for Hazbin Hotel in August 2017, and it released in October 2019. So that's like 2 years.
That's ridiculously fast, especially for when it's basically a 30-minute pilot. That's and a musical one at that. It has so much detail and so many little nuances. Everything about it was just is so much fun, and it's just eye candy and ear candy, and everything about it is just so wonderfully, lovingly crafted. And for that to be done so quickly, it blows my mind to this day. And I still revisit the pilot because it's just so mind-boggling, and
we're all very proud of a lot of the work that we were able to do in that pilot.
You should
and
be. It's amazing.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what comes next for Hazbin.
Yeah, and then I've been loving every second of Hell of a Boss, and seeing all the work being done there, and just how every episode will just, as it seems to be going on, where it just keeps upping the ante with every single episode. It was just like, what next? What's going to happen next? Oh my god! Oh
right?
my god! Oh my god! It's like, it's fun. It's really fun to see all of this being done, and so impressive too. And again, like I said, it's almost like they were setting the, especially when you have projects like Hazbin and Lackadaisy, and they're all like setting the standard of what it means to be able to make a quality product all from home without having to go. You don't have to move to another state or the other side of the world to work at an animation studio per se. It's like now you can all do it from home as long as you have like the tools. So
I'm hoping that this sets kind of the standard, and people are able to record for my line of work, for like voice acting. I hope this kind of sets the standard and allows for a lot more talent to be allowed to record from home. Because if I'm going to be real, I like California. We're planning to move to Burbank to be directly in that hot spot where everything is. But I would love to move back to Seattle if I don't have to live there. If I don't have to live in Los Angeles to get work, I would love to go back to Seattle.
I guess at the very least, if you're here, you can see a bunch of LA people and hang out with them when it's safe to do so at one point.
That's the saving grace of Los Angeles, is while I've only been there a few times and it seems like a nice enough place, the main reason to go there would be the work and the friends. The friends especially, because there's a lot of people are all in that same area, and it's easy enough to hang out, which is unfortunate given the fact that we can't actually see each other right now. But hopefully things kind of improve with the vaccine and everything. I doubt that we'll still go out and do stuff even afterwards, just to be safe. But let's hope that things kind of get better in the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, knock on wood.
Not have to wait like 5 years.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to do more stuff before I'm 30.
Guess I'll die here. It's fine. But yeah, I always make a joke because like I moved out to LA like about a year before COVID, and I was just like, yeah, I finally got settled, and then like I have to like come back to my parents' house in defeat because of COVID. Just like like LA is so bad right now, so there's no point. But that's not my fault directly. So just wait it out.
Yeah, that's how it be.
I guess it related in a way to being able to work from home. What are some of the tools and devices, maybe programs? What are the ones you believe are necessary or you recommend using especially for like anybody that wants to get into voice acting? What are your personal tools of the trade?
So as far as getting into it, so there's depending on if you want to get into it, you know, just to kind of cleanse your palate, just to kind of get used to it. I would recommend not investing too much money into it at first, just in case it's not actually something you want to pursue. You know, if you want to do it for fun or make little personal things, I would recommend investing in a nice little USB microphone just to start off with and recording in Audacity. The USB microphone that I usually recommend is the Samson Meteor microphone. I use that one for traveling. Obviously, I can't right now because no traveling. But I have
In theory.
I have that one, you know, as like a travel microphone, and I also I specifically bought it basically just to test because I had a friend that used that mic, and he always sounded really good on it, and I was surprised that it was like a $60 USB microphone. And so I got it. It's a very good microphone if you have it in a good space. I would recommend getting a cheap microphone like the Samson Meteor mic if you're just starting out. Record with Audacity. That's a free program that you can use. And go on a website like Casting Call Club, or check Twitter or Tumblr for opportunities like hashtag voice acting, hashtag casting call. Those are a lot of the big things. There's a site called the Voice Acting Club. There's Casting Call Club and there's Voice Acting Club. Both are great sites that have opportunities for starting voice actors. And from there, you know, if you want to get into more professional territory, if you've done this for a bit and you think you're ready to try and get more actual like work, I would say to invest. The best starter XLR setup I could think of would be like an AT2020 XLR microphone. That's like $100. That's not too bad considering how expensive they can go for.
Oh yeah.
And like a Focusrite Scarlett Solo usually gets you pretty far. That's a pretty okay starting interface. That alone would cost you about like $200 even still. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to get into voice acting, especially professionally. I mean, the microphone that I'm on right here was $1,000.
Wow.
And it's not cheap. The thing is, though,
as long as the quality in the end is,
You
that's
sound
what
good.
matters. So I mean, hey, that's
Here's
not,
what,
yeah.
though.
I'm like, I was gonna say you sound great. So
Here's what though. I think that you don't actually need to spend $1,000 on a good sound. You could get just as good a sound as this on that $100 microphone if you know what you're doing. If you're in a good treated space, you don't need to have something like this. I only got this $1,000 microphone because a client specifically wanted me to have it.
Oh, bless.
I only invested in it because a client wanted me to have it, and I'm like, you know, it's future-proofing, whatever. The microphone I used before this was like $200, and it got me through just fine. I recorded the Hazbin pilot with it, and it's perfect. The one I used originally was the Studio Projects C1. It's like an off-brand microphone, but it was really nice. There's a lot of different tools that you can use. End of the day, TLDR, I went on a ramble for a bit. If you're starting off, Samson Meteor mic is pretty good. It's $60, not too expensive. Record in Audacity. Go on some websites, have fun. If you're looking to start getting paid, don't go too expensive still. AT2020 XLR, Scarlett Solo, you'll be golden.
perfect. Yeah, like even as is right now, like because if I do record for any projects, it's like it's like I don't do like major voice projects, but if I do need to lend my voice in any little way, even what I'm recording on right now, I have bass level just like a blue snowball, and then I have a little soundproof box, and then I have Audacity. Like that's what I run off of. And
hey, that's how a lot of people start too, and
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. You know, start with what you can.
yeah,
I just recorded in an open bedroom with my Samson CO1U microphone. But yeah, like we all have different places that we start out. And
Yeah.
you know, I've personally never owned a blue snowball, but I've seen one in person. They're way bigger than I expected them to be. That's a fat little microphone.
Yeah, you could like beat someone with it.
Yeah, but it fits into this nice little soundproofing box just perfectly. And I have KP to thank for like she's like, get yourself one of those little boxes. It's literally like one of those like storage boxes you fold up and then you stick like soundproofing foam in it, and it works perfectly. Like
also small question about the the snowball microphone. I've heard complaints from people that have used it that you have to get like really, really close to it to be able to even be audible. Is that true from your experience, or are you able to be a decent distance from it?
I'm able to be a decent distance from it because I think it depends on the gain in the program that you're using. Because honestly, my mic has been able to pick up a lot of stuff really easily, and so far in like pretty much every recording I've done for podcast in particular, I haven't had any issues from like when people say, oh, the audio cuts out, or I can't hear you really, or I haven't had any issues with that. So hey, if everybody else is fine with it too, then I'm just like, okay, so then
yeah, you sound quite clear to me. So I was genuinely surprised to hear you're on a snowball, because I'd always heard a lot of people talk crap about it.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I've been, knock on wood, so far so good with this, and I've had it for I think I've had it for
a year.
About 2 years now. I think just about 2 years.
Maybe they heard the complaints and they fixed it or something.
I mean, when I saw the snowball in real life, that was back in like 2014. So I don't know if there's like a new revision of it or not. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, together with the snowball and the soundproofing box, I think that still only cost me about $75 total. Like, like that's, and then Audacity's free, so. There you go. And that's just like baseline.
There's a wonderful YouTube account. That I watch that has a lot of good videos on microphone equipment and also good ways to soundproof your spaces. It's called Booth Junkie. His name is Mike Delgadio. He does a lot of videos where he reviews microphones. He'll test microphones. He has a video of him where he's like, we're going to make a good vocal booth out of the worst possible space, where he basically, goes into his bathroom. He goes into his bathroom, which is, obviously if you go into a bathroom, there's a lot of reverb. It's really metallic. It's not a good place to ever have a microphone. He goes there and he basically, puts material up in there to try and make the sound better, and he does make it into a decent recording space.
That's perfect.
Like he just showcases what a little bit of, foam or moving blankets or something, what those can do for your sound.
Yeah, because in the end, it's all about percussion in the room, and especially where even long before I was doing anything here on the internet and doing podcast stuff, I was friends with a ton of musicians. So whenever they're talking about we need a proper space for percussion, if I was helping them, if I was, and they didn't want reverb and this and that, I was helping them scout out like different places to play in different venues. Even in my college days, like helping friends out find good places with good acoustics in the place. That I had to listen for that kind of stuff, being like, okay, we can't be in a space like this. This is going to be too loud based on your guys' level. So we're going to have to go to a venue that's about this size and fits this many people. Like it was that kind of thing. So. So when it comes down to like recording, I was just like, no, I'm like looking at, all of the guards and all of the foam and the blankets. And I'm like always trying to make sure, I'm like, when I can hear myself play back, I'm like, I want to make sure I get as much crystal clear quality as I can get with the materials that I have. So, and it's possible. Apparently, if I sound good enough now, then I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
this episode got a lot more technical than I thought it would be. That's okay.
I mean, you're correct. You're correct in every way. There's a lot of stuff to keep in mind when it comes to building an environment that is structurally sound for certain types of purposes. Like, if you have a band and you want it to be like a dead sound, you're going to want it to be padded up. But sometimes you don't want it to be totally dead. You want to have a little bit of reflection, because that helps with a lot of that helps in a lot of ways. So you might not have it totally proofed. You might just have a little bit of sound absorption here and there, but you'll still have a natural sound in the environment.
Exactly.
Where it's not totally dead. For voice acting, you generally want it to be pretty dead, but for music, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the end, it is a lot about acoustics and controlling the acoustics that way to get the sound you want. But yeah, especially for voice acting, when it comes down to like you want to make sure the audio is as clean as you can possibly get it. Then yeah, you proof as much as you can to get that clean sound, that clean uninterrupted sound.
But also, there's another thing. A lot of voice actors record in their closets, like I am right now. I'm in a closet. I know that for a lot of people, they actually prefer to have recordings done in like wide open spaces because it has a slightly more full sound. Whereas when you're inside of like a little closet space, it might sound a little tighter because things are absorbing a lot closer to the microphone, and so that might make it sound a little more boxy, for instance.
Yeah.
So there's usually like a good balance. Like this kind of recording space is generally preferred, I think, for commercials or promo work where you want to sound really up close. But for animation, I think they generally prefer you to be in like a bigger room that's a little more open.
I like to think about all of the clips I've seen back in the days where you could be in a room together with people with no masks and be standing right next to each other. Is seeing how voice actors would sometimes record in the same room, and you would hear them both at the same time, and you're hearing their genuine, real reactions to each other as they're playing off each other as their characters and stuff like that. And that they play with the space that way, and then at the same time, because they're recording that visually for the animators to use as reference, then that adds even more to the performance down the line to that final product. So it depends on I guess it does depend on the project, and like you said, commercial work for just recording that or versus like a performance for animated content, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I like that there's a range, and yeah, again, it comes down to basing it on the kind of projects that you want to work on or are working on at the time, and you kind of have to, I guess, do research and use your proper judgment in a way to make sure that you're doing it right. But yeah. Yeah, and I guess
also I just sent a link in the chat. You can disregard that for now. That's from a thing way back.
Oh yeah, let me.
It's just an old video of mine from when I was back in like 2007.
Oh.
It's the one where I'm his tails going like goodbye.
You got the watermark clips and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of random clips from Sonic.
Bless.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to definitely have to take a look after.
It's so old. I was so young.
I live
so
for
young,
this, like,
so naive.
I live for these little time capsule moments in people's lives.
I love the description. It just says, "My best video yet." I love that.
Baby Michael, the best is yet to come.
Oh, you have a lot to learn, little child. You have a lot
Sweet
to
summer
learn.
child, do you even know?
Oh, my sweet summer child. Wait until you voice the sex spider.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, are there any roles you aspire to have in the future, like maybe kinds of characters that you'd like to perform, or maybe even certain kinds of projects that you thought you might try out?
So like my main goal with voice acting is specifically animation. I love animated series and cartoons, and that's always kind of been the big thing that I've wanted to do is voicing in cartoons and giving my voice to any character that I would be able to give a good voice for. I'm not opposed to voicing characters that are wildly out of my range if I'm able to. I don't really have any specific goals. I'd like to try and do more in my in my lower tones, but I'm not gonna push for that too much. I'm just happy to do whatever I can, and again, most of the work that I enjoy lies in animation, but I'm happy to try doing voice acting for video games. Like I'm in Billy Bust Up, that's a video game, and I've done a lot of work for indie games, but once I have an agent, I'm hoping to have one sometime this year. I'm hoping to audition for as much as I can, be it animation, video games, anime, commercials, maybe. I've never been a commercial guy, but I'll try it. But yeah, no, I'm down to do basically anything, so long as it's not nothing very bad or negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny when
I will never do political like promos or commercials. I won't do political.
No. That's good. That's a whole other messy territory. No. It's like I just want to do funny voices and have fun with it, okay? And it's just like, let me be happy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything like political. Like if I'm doing a video game or cartoon and there's like political stuff mentioned, that's different. I'm not gonna do like you should vote for this candidate, on
Right.
like the radio. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, no way. No, it's like not. I wouldn't even do that. I just wouldn't touch it. But yeah, just I guess a little slight tangent, but relevant, is that I as a SAG actress, I've actually been when I was a kid, I was in a lot of commercials and even a couple TV things here and there. But yeah, it's fun to do commercial work, and then later on, I think it was just after I graduated college. So it was like when I was in the middle of trying to find a job out of college. And in the meantime, I got to go back into acting for a little bit, even if it was like smaller roles, like background actor kind of stuff. It was so much fun to be back on a set and being a part of like a whole little creative production vibe. And it was, and meeting so many people that way. It's just, it felt good. And honestly, because going into animation, you are an actor and you're just putting your energy into another character or another creature or something. You're just putting your performance energy into that character. So it feels good to be a part of like the projects like that, even if it's outside of what you usually are used to. And this, for me, it was kind of going back over old ground a little bit, but it was going back to my roots a little bit. But because I love TV acting, it's so much fun. Even if it's a million takes, hey, craft services is still good. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like as far as voice acting goes, the thing that I really like about that also is that, with physical acting, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that you will have to have like certain physical appearances to be able to pull off and whatnot, or, a lot of makeup, a lot of stuff like that. Whereas with animation, you can be literally anything. And I really like that. I like that you can do just about anything. You could be like this like skinny, small, short dude, but if you can pull it off, you could be like,
I am a hero.
you could be like the exact
Exactly.
opposite of that. Even if you in real life are like this small, wimpy looking guy, you could completely change that if you're able to in your voice, whereas you would not be able to pull that off in like, a stage production or something on TV without like, a lot of makeup or effects.
yeah, without 4 hours, you can do it all without 4 hours of makeup. It just takes several months, if not years, to make the product. But in the end, you get to make anything. In the end, you get to make anything possible. So. Also, you can do it from home versus live action acting, which has been on hold for so many projects because COVID.
Yeah. But as far as that also goes, I do want to say I do really genuinely admire a lot of the effort that goes into projects where they have an actor or actress that has to go through a lot of like makeup. Like for instance, there's always Jim Carrey in The Grinch. That's a lot of work. But also more recently, well, not more recently. This is an old ass movie. But me and Ashley were just rewatching Mrs. Doubtfire, and
yes.
Oh my God, Robin looks so good as Mrs. Doubtfire. They did such a phenomenal job with that makeup and bodysuit and everything.
Oh my God. I'm so happy they
so
even did a
good.
musical based on Mrs. Doubtfire, because then it's just like it's taking it to the stage and just playing up with it and having fun with it, and just I love Mrs. Doubtfire.
I haven't seen anything from the musical yet except for a poster, and I've heard good things. I've heard very good things.
Yeah, Rob McClure, who is in the lead role, he came off of his role in Beetlejuice and went straight to Doubtfire. So when I got to see Beetlejuice back in December 2019, that was just after they announced that they were going to be evicted too in like June. Little did they know it'd be sooner, but but I missed just him as he was leaving his role as Adam and going right into stuff for Mrs. Doubtfire. But yeah, I did see a couple clips of like a couple song performances that they were able to put up on TV to promote the show, and I think it was just in previews, just as COVID hit, and so they're very close. So when everything kind of comes back up, they'll be ready. But yeah, no, it's but to go back to the original source material, I absolutely love the original Mrs. Doubtfire. It's such a just beautifully heartfelt movie, and at the same time,
one thing that I forgot about as a kid was that Robin literally was a voice actor in that movie. He just because the movie starts off with just him inside of a recording studio doing ADR for a cartoon. And it's crazy to think that like literally his role is just as this performer, this voice actor doing a cartoon. He gets fired because he won't like smoke or whatever, for the character, let the character smoke, and just goes on from there. It's really funny, especially knowing that that's not generally how animation voice acting works. It's not ADR usually. There is ADR, but it's not to that extent usually.
I guess they wanted an excuse to show off Chuck Jones animation that they made for it.
Oh, no doubt. It was beautiful. Chuck Jones animation was gorgeous.
No, we were very fortunate to have that in the movie while we still had Chuck Jones around, too. So it was just like, that was great.
Yeah, and also, obviously, because, the general audience isn't gonna know how the animation process is. It's a lot easier for them to digest something if it's, the animation already laid out for the actor playing to it.
Yeah,
especially for a movie. But no, that movie holds up extremely well. It's so funny. Robin does such a phenomenal job. It's incredible. I love that movie so much.
It was the drink that killed him. Oh, was he an alcoholic? No, literally, a Guinness truck ran him over. The drink literally killed him.
God, I love the scene where the guy that his ex-wife starts talking to or whatever, where he's just at the pool or whatever, and Robin's Mrs. Doubtfire is at the bar near the bowl of fruit, and like he throws the fruit at his head, and then the dude looks back and he just gets up from where he's like, "Oh no, I saw it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw it happen." Even though it's clear that he was right there by the fruit bowl. It's just the funniest things. Like, "Oh no, I saw it."
It's one of my favorite Robin Williams roles, just because, especially because he just gets to play up with, especially like those angles where he tries to play off, anytime he's being vindictive against Pierce Brosnan. It's just so fantastic.
Yeah. It's one of those movies also where it could have potentially had moments that were problematic, but it didn't. It didn't at all. It was good the whole way through. There's nothing that's ever like that bad. Yeah. It's totally a wonderful, funny movie.
It walks the line just enough to be like, it's not going to go into like into offensive territory. It especially when you see at the angle he does it because he wants to see his kids, because the court tells him he can't, and it's on visitation, and all of that's up in the air. And yeah, so it's like, it's funny when people try to make arguments out of this movie. I'm like, just be happy. It's funny. It's a funny movie, and this guy trying to genuinely connect with his kids, and he just does it in a way, and it's by stepping into somebody else's shoes for a bit. So
yeah, exactly. I adore that movie.
Oh, it's so great. I really want to watch it again at some point soon.
It's on Netflix, I think. I think that's where we watched it, or it's on some streaming service. I can't remember which one. We have literally everything, so it was on one of them. But
I feel that way too. And just like, I'm like, I have that, and I'm also paying for that, and I'm also paying for that.
Oh,
so
wait, it might have been
like,
HBO Max. I can't remember. It's either HBO Max or it's Netflix. It's one of them.
I love HBO Max. I was talking with Chrissy the other day, Cosmic Keyframe, if you kind of know her. I know Ashley.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, and I know Ashley's worked with her at conventions before, too. we were talking about the other day, and she said, HBO Max has become like the streaming service for me. I never anticipated going back to it as much as I have, but here we are. And it's
No,
true.
it's
There's
a
so
great
much.
service.
There's so
It's
much
a great
on there.
service.
Yeah.
And they just keep adding more to it too. It's really good. I hope we get a lot more cartoons.
My little pocket of happy has been Ghibli.
Dude, basically every Ghibli movie, it's so good.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Like, God only knows how many times I've watched Howl's Moving Castle over there.
Oh, that's me with like Castle in the Sky or Kiki's Delivery Service. Those are
love
just
Kiki.
two of my favorites. And
Yeah.
Spirited Away.
We're gonna gush about like Ghibli for a whole.
You
other
guys are
hour.
adorable. I'm just like listening to all this stuff. I'm just like, my ears gonna get full of gum.
Ghibli is so good. Oh man, and I can't remember the prequel movie's name. Whisper of the Heart and The Cat Returns. Those
Yes.
movies so good, so good.
Finally, it's funny that it took me so long to finally get to Whisper of the Heart because I saw The Cat Returns before I ever saw Whisper of the Heart. Weirdly enough, I can't remember why that order went that way, but I think it was because I watched The Cat Returns in like an animation class when I was like, and this was when we're talking like beginners level, like Flash animation class, and our professor had a bunch of Ghibli movies on in the background while we worked. So so that's how I watched The Cat Returns first. But
I mean, thankfully, it's not like you're losing much by watching one or the other first.
Yeah.
It's totally fair to watch The Cat Returns first and Whisper of the Heart second.
Yeah.
I know that canonically it would make more sense to watch it the other way around, but it's those two movies are interchangeable. It's because they're kind of related, but not really. It's literally
they're
just a
separated
character
enough that you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about watching one before the other. That they do have a separation, and one's just more fantastical than the other.
Yep, that would be The Cat Returns. That movie, I loved that movie. I mean,
me
I love
too.
both of those movies. I've got a special spot for The Cat Returns, though.
Me too. Carrie Elwes is the Baron. I mean,
Yeah. My favorite Ghibli movie is still The Castle in the Sky. That's I think it's a nostalgia thing. I just really like that movie in particular. And also, Mark Hamill did a great job as the antagonist in that film.
I feel like you can't go wrong with Mark Hamill, even if it's like, I think maybe the only time well, I mean, even then, his vocal counts, I mean, they're still good, was if he was involved in stuff like Rhapsody Street Kids, purely because there were other people he knew going into that project, that it's like he's still so good. Like he's a phenomenal talent. And
He's just this super talented guy.
just who would have thunk that Luke Skywalker would become the Joker and all of these other voice talents.
And he owns it. That's literally I don't see Mark Hamill as being just Luke Skywalker. I see him as the Joker first and foremost, and then Luke
Exactly.
Skywalker, honestly.
Yeah, especially because I think we hear his voice more often as the Joker than we even do as Luke Skywalker when you think about it and how much he was involved in.
I mean, look at how much there is of, the Joker in Batman versus how much there is of Star Wars that has Mark Hamill as Luke. There's
Exactly.
there's no comparison. There's way more of Joker.
Yeah, he's way more distinct by being Joker too. That he set that role apart. And
He defined what the voice for Joker should sound like too. He defined that kind of whispery sound that he has or whatever that I can't do, but just that basic sound that Joker is definitively known for.
That was a good effort,
Yeah, it's those golden voices that when you're.
It is
when you hear 'em.
delicious. It is magnificent.
I think that's when they said it's like it's just like when I hang out in some of the other Discords and especially if I hang out because I hang out on like the DA game server a bunch and so you'll get voice actors on there too and they love to torment everybody with voices because every night it's like perpetual heaven/hell depending on which character is tormenting you, and it's overall it's still fun. I love it. Again, I guess we have our own Ashley moments in there, so when you think about it.
Oh boy, does anybody do Hazbin impressions and just go like, "Oh, someone's name"?
Oh, it's that, but with Lupin the Third. That's absolutely
Oh,
what happens.
good. Okay, that is good. Lupin is fantastic. That's always good.
That's become my comfort. I guess you could say that's my comfort corner.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Inspector Zenigata.
Uh-oh.
He's my favorite.
Oh,
She's
good.
like
yeah.
the biggest simp for Zenigata. Like, she draws fan art. She has an AU where she's in the AU. It's great. It's fun. It's cute.
Yes.
I'm gonna embarrass
yeah.
her.
This is
I
like
still need to see Lupin the First. I've been meaning to watch
it's
that.
so
I've
good.
heard so many good things.
The dub was I lucked out that back in October.
I know they got most of the original like English cast, like Tony Oliver and whatnot.
Yes.
But I think a few voices are different, but I know they got most of the cast back.
So pretty much what happened is they pretty much got if you know about parts 4 and 5, they pretty much got parts 4 and 5 cast, which is they got everybody original except for, because Dan Lorge was Zenigata in part 2. But then they had Doug Erholtz for parts 4 and 5 and other specials after that too, I guess technically. So it's basically the parts 4 and 5 crew. And
Okay.
I love Doug's Zenny. It's really become actually like my number one favorite take because it's that balance of being goofy but also being like he's competent. He's still a competent inspector. He's incredibly smart. You just have to give him the right moment to show it off. Like he does have a big brain up there. There's a reason he's the number one cop on Lupin's case. And so anyway. The First is such a fantastic movie, and I'm already itching to like show it to my family. I'm just like waiting for the steelbook at this point, but I got to see it in theaters for one night only when they did the English dub release back in October, and I drove all the way out to like Orange County because there was like one theater playing it for one night, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try and go out there. So yeah, there was like 4 people in the theater, by the way. It was pretty decently sized. So we're all wearing masks. We're all distanced in our seats. And so it's like, and we're all wearing masks the entire movie. So it was, we did it 100% safe out there. But I'm so glad I saw it on a big screen because it's one of those, it's so visually stunning and
I
so
love
much
the
fun.
style of it. It literally transitions Lupin into such a perfect way in 3D. It's so good.
Yeah.
The intro alone is so good.
I could watch that intro over and over.
Lupin the Third.
Oh yeah, and it's just especially with it's that mix of it being the original part 2 Lupin theme, but the way they update it in very subtle little ways. Especially because I think it's Yuji Ono working on the music as well. Because it wouldn't be Lupin really without him, I guess. That he's like the John Williams to Star Wars. It's Yuji Ono to Lupin.
You just can't have it without him.
Yeah, except with the exception of for me, part 4 is the Papik and Yuma soundtrack that they used for like the English dub and the Italian dub. That music is fantastic. I feel like it perfectly fits the Italian vibe, and part 4 is personally one of my personal favorites because it was that first take that they were trying to go into like a fully fledged storyline that goes over several episodes versus being episodic, and for it to take place in Italy, which it's just so much fun. They have so much fun with it, and I feel like Papik and Yuma's soundtrack fit that on the nose. So anyway,
Yeah.
I won't keep gushing about Lupin.
No, you're
that's
fine.
a whole other podcast in itself.
I'm just chilling here because like I don't watch Lupin as I'll get to it, but like Lauren is like
I've only
really...
seen a little bit of Lupin. I'm not as big like into it either. I really like what I have seen though, and I want to get into it more.
It's been described as like Sly Cooper, but without the animals to me, and I'm like, okay,
Hey, that's enough
get
to sell
behind
it.
that.
Sly Cooper's fantastic.
Yeah, it's basically James Bond meets Ocean's 11 meets Indiana Jones, and then meets Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes in a way. If you're gonna talk about like
a lot. It's like a big cartoon sandwich,
Yeah, and they did say that like James Bond was like one of those major influences for the property, and then of course it was derived from Arsène Lupin, the original French novels from like 100 years ago. But yeah, it was so it plays up on all of these American and Western story tropes, and at the same time it makes it equal parts. I guess you could say it's an international merger of like the Japanese ideas and storytelling ideas with kind of the Western storytelling styles and characters and tropes. It's a lot of fun. Just so much fun.
That's valid.
Yeah. So I look forward to what 2021 continues to bring us, because apparently, because it's the 50th year of them of Lupin being animated on and put up on television, not including the pilot that was from like the late 60s, when you had all their animated content drop in the 70s. They're supposed to be plotting some new stuff for the year, which means not only like remastered, releases or digital releases of movies that didn't normally have it remastered before or anything like that, but we may be getting new specials. Who knows? It's still up in the air right now, but this is slated to already be a year for Lupin, as far as we've been able to gauge from news updates. So
Got that silver lining.
This year's going to be the year for everybody to check out Lupin the Third and actually get into it.
Yeah, exactly. and what's cool is that it seems like more and more people, especially in the West, are starting to see it. Which, I mean, last year that was the first time I became aware of Lupin, and I have Chrissy to thank for that. It's funny, she's like, "Oh, you should get into it," and I think Jigen might be your favorite. And little did we know. But he was a favorite of mine originally, and he's always going to be very near and dear to my heart. But Zenigata is top tier. He is king. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So but yeah, I really hope more people get into the show and into the franchise in general, because it's just a lot of fun, and more people should know about it.
I've always heard just such good stuff about it, and I've always really liked how zany the characters are. It's always come off as being really fun.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked it out, Castle of Cagliostro, that was Miyazaki's first directorial.
I know,
debut.
I remember. I need to see that too. I've only seen clips.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's a good introduction, I guess you could say, to the Lupin franchise, but it's very what I consider watercolor Lupin, where the characters are different than what, especially Lupin, are different from what you see in other parts. And it's because Miyazaki did that on purpose. He wanted to make it seem like, if I'm deriving it from a proper quote here, that he wanted to be like a film that was so applicable to anybody that even an old man sitting on a mountaintop who had never heard of Lupin could enjoy the movie. So and I mean, I feel like he did just that. It's like it's a heist movie at the same time as like, it's got, kind of the rescuing the princess kind of idea, literally a princess in a castle kind of thing. But it plays up on the heist stuff at the same time, and, solving mystery kind of stuff. It's great. And, it's very Ghibli. So, I mean, this is what set the precedent for all of the content after that.
Oh yeah.
And it's still gorgeous. I love it. Even if it's not true Lupin, it does
its best, and it's still a good adventure.
Yeah. And
okay, I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, I think I'm like, it's like this is what I like about when we.
It's like, oh no, we're torturing him.
I'm like, but I do like the conversations that do come out of like, we're here like, well, we have some questions like lined up, but then what I enjoy more than anything is especially just
just shooting the shit and just going.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder like who's really just polite and just listening to the spiel and who actually is engaged, but like they're just like, they're too polite to be like, okay, I got things to do. I got a Baja to blast, or whatever.
Just looking at my wristwatch like, Nah, no, because I genuinely have been wanting to get into Lupin as well. And I know I've heard people say that Castle of I'm not gonna pronounce it. I've heard that is the best movie to like start with. Yeah. But I've also heard people say that Lupin the First actually is quite good for like someone who's never seen it also. So I don't know. Yeah, like at least as far as I'm able to gauge it, how I'm introducing my family to it would be like I've been holding off to show them the first, and then probably Cagliostro or something after that. Even though Cagliostro is one of the first instances I watched of Lupin, but again, that was also before the first came out. So
at least in the English dub. But and I think that was before the Japanese release even was able to drop anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the first has the overall tone of Lupin, and is more true to the overall franchise and the characters and how they're represented and their relationships to each other. Absolutely 100%. So if anything, I do recommend seeing that first, if not early on, as one of the first things you watch, because
one of the first ones to actually get into. Yeah,
because otherwise, until then, if you don't watch that, then I say probably, I guess you could say technically you could go to part 2. I would say, yeah, if you want.
Oh no, it sounded like JoJo now. It sounded like we're getting into JoJo's territory.
The thing is, with all the parts, the cool thing about Lupin is that they're not all strung together by one story, except maybe parts 4 and 5. And that's because they became more like overarching story that connects two series together. And that was only because they went a more traditional anime route where there's that big story. But but early on, it was very episodic. So parts 1 to, I guess you could say parts 1 to 3 you don't have to, there's no order to them. You don't have to watch anything in order. It's all very much like you move at your own pace. And especially when you have stuff like part 2 where it's like every episode's a new story. So it's just a matter of seeing how each character or how the group interacts and how they respond to these new situations. And yeah, basically that's that. So that's why it's easier to get into something like Lupin versus something like JoJo, where it's like maybe you'd have to start from the beginning with so many series, but with this one you don't have to.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I will continue gushing. But if you have any other, I guess you could say hit me up if you need any other recommendations for Lupin, because I
probably will. Because again, me, Ashley, and a few others have been hoping to get into Lupin. So I'll let you know whenever we get started on that.
We're making friends on the KP show. Yay!
And considering Chi-Chi and I go back and forth on Lupin stuff like literally every day, so
I believe that. Did you have any other any points, Lauren, before we end, or Michael, anything you wanted to bring up before we wrap?
As far as on my end, I would say that if you are an aspiring voice actor, again, this is from a question way back, but the main thing to keep in mind is to be yourself, have fun, do it because you love it. That's something that I've heard from Ed Bosco in the Honeycast, is he always says, do it because you love it. Mm-hmm. Because it is true that, as an actor, you don't really get a lot of work at first, and also you tend to not make a lot of money at first. Mm-hmm. Not even, hell, there are a lot of people that do this for a living and they don't even, make enough to be able to survive. They have to have a second job. Mm-hmm, so it's just a matter of doing it because you genuinely have fun doing it, not because you hope that you're going to make it big and, be loaded, because that's not realistic. You can't, there are opportunities to make a lot of money or, be famous from voice acting, but that shouldn't be what you aspire for. You should do it because you have fun doing it and because you enjoy doing it genuinely. Be yourself, have fun, and just do it.
Yeah. That's solid advice.
And also check out some projects. check out Lackadaisy, the short film. That's coming this year probably. It looks really cool. I voice Rocky, the cat, who's like, hey, he has a voice like this, where it's a little more congested sounding and raspy. It's an impression of, have you ever seen Cool Cat Saves the Kids?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Literally, they wanted, when I was doing my audition for that, because they just scouted me. They just were like, hey, you want to voice this character? Let's figure out a voice for him. And I did a few different takes where it was like, one was just like my regular voice like this, but it was missing something. And so I just shifted it down. I did like a raspy voice. It reminded me of Cool Cat, like, hey, it's me, Cool Cat. It kind of reminded me of that, but I tried my best to like make it not as much like Cool Cat. So it's a little happy medium where it's just a little raspy here, but yeah, this is what the character sounds like. Check out Lackadaisy.
Rocky
vibe.
Rocky saves the kids.
Rocky saves the kids. Here, kids, have some pancakes. But yeah, Lackadaisy, that's coming out sometime this year. Billy Bust Up had a very successful Kickstarter. That's not expected until 2024, so, keep your calendar marked. Keep your calendar marked. Akudama Drive is airing on Funimation right now. Episode 4 is out as of this recording. Dubbed, of course. Check that out. That's a very good anime. I voice a little bunny rabbit who sounds like this. Yay! Check all those out if you are able to. And that's it for me as far as sharing everything.
No, that's perfect.
Sharing all the things.
And I guess I was gonna say, I feel like people who are on this episode already know where to find you. But for those who don't, what are your social media handles? Your links?
I only really use Twitter, and my name there is just Kovach at Kovox.
Perfect. Makes
and
it
what's
easy.
the name of your Sonic YouTube channel in case you want to Google that?
Oh God, I don't want people to Google that. I sent it to you though, so you could check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll keep it on
it's
the
a mystery
hush
then.
and then this is exclusive.
Keep
Yay.
that on the hush hush.
That's
I've not been secretive about it. People can probably find it, but yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't
You
post
you
that
want to
here.
make like it's the hunt. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I'll do my outro too.
Sure.
So in case you're coming here for Michael and we're like, who the fuck are these chicks? Why won't they shut up? Or like I didn't say much this episode. So anyway, it's whatever. So I am.
What is this? The Lupin cast?
Might as well be. Sorry. Not sorry.
So I love Kimpossible. I know the name sucks. Like, haha, you're not the first to make that joke. So we do YouTube videos. So we're generally video essay type things about animation. I was a horse person back in the day, but we were trying to slowly unhorse or diversify from not only horse. So that's been hit or miss, and we got a bunch of fun projects coming up. I guess the one I can talk about now is we got a Treasure Planet Reanimate that's the Twitter's like of this recording is almost ready to start having people apply and stuff.
Yep.
So that should be good. That's something I want to do for a while. And then we got a couple of bigger projects coming out whenever they finish. The art's pretty. I don't know what to tell you. So if you thought Michael was entertaining and I was here too, then you should also check out our channel if you're new. So you know it's fine. You'll have a good time. Subscribe, like, comment, sacrifice your firstborn child. It's alright. Whatever you feel like doing.
Do whatever your heart tells you to.
Okay. Okay, I guess we can, and then as if you're into the podcast, we're on all the places. So YouTube is obviously the most popular place for the people listen to the podcast, which is fine. But if you're like weird and like your podcast on podcast specific sites, we have the iTunes and the Spotify under Animation Communication.
Yep.
Communication spelled with a K, not a C, because I like Krusty Krab.
And it's KIM instead of COM. So there's like the communicator.
You get it? Impossible.
That's hilarious. I'm gonna laugh.
But no, thank
and
you so
the script
much.
here, it says, yeah, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun, genuinely.
I'm so glad you had fun because I had fun too, and considering how long I've been, especially like listening to Honeycast and everything, it's just like it's kind of, in a way, it's still kind of like surreal that I'm like I'm trying not to be like in that starstruck mode, but it's like it was a lot of fun to be able to talk with you and just vibe. It's good.
It's like down, Lauren, down.
No, I'm just
anyway.
I'm just another guy. I don't let stuff like that get to my head. We had this discussion earlier. Be yourself. Don't be super invested in yourself. Egotistical. It's nice to be proud, but don't be in your own head.
Don't be a butt.
Is the way to be. Don't be a butt.
Just be nice. Be a nice person. It really isn't that hard. I promise.
Exactly.
Yep. And then if you like Michael, then yell at us, and we might have him come back eventually sometime. That would be cool. Anyway, he's like, oh God, I thought I just escaped. Anyway, that's my bad joke.
I thought I would be free. But I am not.
All right, and then new episodes come out on Wednesdays, 6 a.m. Eastern podcast time, and then YouTube is 4 p.m. Okay, I don't have anything, so I guess bye, everyone. Thanks for coming to the show.
Bye.
That's a wrap.
Good night, everybody.
Mwah. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to Animation Kimmunication on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider. We are really hoping this show makes a difference in how people view animation and media, as well as giving and providing advice for people all over the world who like or want to join the animation or media industry. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and rate those 5 stars, as well as tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our main YouTube channel, I Love Kim Possible a Lot, and turn those notifications on. My name is Scribbler, and you have been listening to Animation Kimmunication.